Good evening to you and yours. It is Saturday, October 30th, the day before Halloween, 2021 in the year of our Lord. Um, your Purdue Boilermakers won a big game, a sizable contest in Lincoln, Nebraska. And this one was important for a lot of reasons. The interesting subtext coming in was the feeling, the general feeling of the Purdue fan base. I think was um, like a lot. I think I reflected the feelings of a lot of people. We had no momentum as a fan base. We didn't feel like um, Purdue had capitalized on a really golden opportunity last week versus Wisconsin. And I don't know. Like I said earlier, like I said in the pregame, it felt like a bit of a gut punch last week, quite a bit of a gut punch. So this week in Nebraska, um, Purdue faced a beleaguered Nebraska team in Lincoln, and um, and Purdue came out ahead 28-23. Thanks to a couple things. First one, Aiden O'Connell completed 75% of his passes. He went 34 of 45 for 233 yards, two touchdowns, no picks. Pretty darn good game. Pretty noteworthy. I've been hard on O'Connell. I will continue to be hard on O'Connell because he's kind of an incomplete quarterback. Brom believes in him. Um, and that's a real positive to see him play that well on the road. Pretty hostile environment, but it got really quiet in the late in the third quarter. Purdue completely took them out of the game for many reasons, but one of the big ones was, of course, Purdue had a couple drives where they just went right down the field. The play calling was very well done, but the um, Nebraska's defense. Let's be real honest about it, because I had somebody come at me in Twitter saying that I've been rough on the play calling. I've been rough on Brom, and I need to know when I should be positive. And I will say, Jeff Brom and company did a great job in the third and the fourth quarter. They had Purdue's offense humming along. Purdue just kind of methodically marched down the field. A couple drives, they used a very effective running game. We saw King Doru, he finished with 17 carries. He led all Boilers in rushing, 74 yards. We also saw Jackson Anthrop have a pretty solid rushing game, 5 rushes for 25 yards. Horvath, which this was a great surprise to see Horvath back. Horvath carried the ball 11 times, 24 yards. He had a couple really, really important runs. Really important runs. I'm sorry about the lighting, but where it was just obvious how important he is as a back, because he was hit in the backfield on, I think, one first down attempt where he pushed and bullied his way across the first down. He had another one, which a tough run, kind of a impossibly tough run. He was hit well behind the line of scrimmage and then somehow got in the end zone for a very, very important touchdown. I think the most important touchdown on the day. You could argue this, but Jalen Graham's pick six was huge. If I were giving out a game ball, that's my game ball, just because anytime you can have a defensive player score, especially 2 weeks in a row, it's a big deal. But Jalen Graham, it was an awesome play. If you watch the replay, he was dropping and spying on Martinez, and he was just watching his eyes, and he knew Martinez's tendencies not to go through his progressions, to lock in on guys, and he locked in on a player in the left side. Graham went up and got it, made a great play, and then used his speed. Let's not forget, Graham was a safety before he was a linebacker. To me, that guy looks like an NFL player every time I see him play. I'm just glad he's a Boilermaker. Hope we have another year with him, and I don't know if he'll head out of West Lafayette at the end of the season. It kind of depends on, I guess, how, what scouts are saying, but he's a big time player and he's going to be a pro. If it's not next year, the year after. Martinez, let's talk about this. I talked about this in the pregame this morning. I talked that if you force him to pass the ball, he'll make mistakes. And sure enough, when Purdue kind of just gave him a place where he had to drop back and pass, he started making big mistakes. That was a big difference maker for Purdue. When Purdue looked like they were going to run away from it, part of the reason that happened was two more interceptions on top of Graham's. You had a pick by Cam Allen had a big pick, and then you had a really a great play. The ball was batted up in the air, and Jefferson pulled down an interception. It felt like a lot like the Iowa game at that point. Like Purdue was just slamming the door, and I tweeted about that. Brought some balance back into the world because that Wisconsin game was such a lousy second half. And this one, Purdue was down by 3 at the end of the first half and kind of grinded out a second half that was really, really solid football. And again, when Purdue wins, they seem to do it as a team. When they lose, they seem to lose as a team. Today, you had the offense, the defense, and the play calling in the second half. All were there. All were very good. Before I continue any further, I want to do this. I want to make sure I thank our folks at Martin Vintage, martinvintage.com, where you can get great Purdue t-shirts. Enter Boiled at checkout for 15% off. AJ's when you're on campus, maybe next week before the Michigan State game. Head over to AJ's. Get a pint, get a burger. Watch some games, have some, I always say the mac and cheese bites, I like those. But head over to AJ's, eataj's.com. And finally, our pal Derek, our pal Paul at Gridiron Metalworks, and are Boiled at checkout there. Get a super unique gift for the person that's hard to shop for. And if you enter Boiled, you get 15% off. That is gridironmetalworks.com. Those are great Purdue fans, great Purdue families and friends of ours. We're really glad to have them as sponsors. You guys know that. But let's dig a little bit deeper into some of the post-game thoughts. There were a couple bad things, of course. Purdue really struggled on special teams. I think there were 2 missed field goals. Finneran was 0 for 2. The first one he pulled left. The second one he pushed out right. Not a good day for him, and he's trending really poorly too. I would say if we look at the kind of the way Finneran how his season has gone, he was a lot more solid early in the season, and now he's shown some problems. It doesn't look like it's not curable, but it's awfully bad to see because field goal kicking is important, especially in close games. And Purdue's going to have they're playing some good teams coming up here, and they're going to need him. Let's see, anything else of noteworthy? No, I'm kind of doing this off the cuff. I can't talk about this enough, though. Martinez, when you force the guy to pass, he's not the quarterback that I think Nebraska thinks he is and Nebraska fans think he is. Funny thing is, everybody outside of Lincoln knows what Martinez is about. Great rusher, big, strong athlete, bad passer. So today, when Nebraska was down, of course, they had to start thinking about passing. Purdue effectively put them in that position by being in the lead. He throws 4 picks. That's the story. That is the entire story. That's what I said this morning. If Purdue could force Nebraska into passing situations, they would pay for it. Nebraska would, and sure enough, they did. Their running back, Jaquez Yant, unusual name, but he looked like he was going to kind of bring Nebraska back into it almost by himself. On one drive, he just marched them down the field. He's a big, strong guy. He had 6 carries for 60 yards, but they really didn't have him as an integral part of the game plan, it seems. Couple interesting things. Karlaftis was getting held all day again. It's what he does. It's kind of like a hobby for him, one that he doesn't sign up for, but when he has to deal with. Oh, hey, one more thing. Another sponsor. Head to boiledsports.com. You're already here if you're watching the post game. Head to boiledsports.com. Get a pick up one of these glasses for Christmas for your favorite family member, friend, whatever. You shouldn't play favorites, but this is a way to show them they are your favorite. We don't have a infinite number of glasses, so if you want one of these rocks glasses right there, Boiled Sports store, and you can get some Christmas gifts there, some other stuff outside of the rocks glasses. But Purdue improves to 5-3. Nebraska falls to 3-6. For the first time, you're actually hearing people in Nebraska saying what we've all known all along, that Scott Frost isn't that great of a coach. Scott Frost, I hope he stays at Nebraska forever. I think this is it for him. Nebraska has 3, I don't want to say impossible games ahead because Iowa showed some weakness today, of course. But they've got Ohio State, Wisconsin, then Iowa. Purdue has 4 games left, and Purdue's path is pretty difficult, but it's not like theirs. Purdue, the next 2 weeks, has some absolute mothers to deal with as they try to get that 6th win and become bowl eligible. So they've got 4 games to get 1 to get bowl eligible. I think they should shoot for 2 to get solidly in the bowl and not go to Detroit, not go to New York City. It'd be great if they were in a warm climate. It'd be excellent if they could be in Florida. I don't know if that's possible. But they're going to have the Herculean task next week of playing Michigan State. The kickoff time has not been announced yet. Michigan State, of course, beat Michigan earlier today by just kind of methodically beating up on Michigan's defense. Their running game, of course, is excellent. They look like they have a legit Heisman contender, and I think he may have won the Heisman today just by that performance. After Michigan State plays Purdue, I think they have a game versus someone that is, let's see, yeah. Don't look for the letdown from Michigan State if you're a Purdue fan, just because Michigan State plays Maryland after Purdue. It's not like they have a big game, so they could kind of let down their guard to get ready for the big one. They've got Purdue in Ross-Ade, at Ross-Ade, and then they'll play Maryland. I would expect Michigan State to continue to be rolling when they come into Ross-Ade. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they just cram the ball down Purdue's defensive throat and just try to muscle Purdue up. They're a very, very good offensive line, very, very good running back, solid quarterback, and their defense is very good too. There's a reason they're going to be top 5 now. They were 8th coming into the Michigan game. After that, Purdue will play Ohio State, another top 5 team. Then you've got Northwestern and IU. Northwestern, of course, this is kind of what Fitzgerald teams do every few years. They have a retool year. Seems like that's what this is for them. They've got 3 wins right now, and then IU, I think, also has. I think they have 3 wins, but Purdue will complete the season in a bucket game. IU is 2-6. That's an amazingly disappointing season for IU fans, of course, but for us as Purdue observers, we're pretty happy with with that output. Let's see. I'm going to read the comments, see if there's anything here, if there's any questions. If you guys have any questions, you can ask them right now in the comment section on the side. Walker is terrifying. Todd Singer, I couldn't remember his name. Walker from Michigan State is terrifying. He's the complete package. He's big, strong. He's fast enough in that second level that he can get away from guys. First time ever a Michigan State player had scored 5 touchdowns against Michigan was today. Actually, first time 4, I think, was the stat they said, and he scored 5. Legit big-time game for him versus Michigan. Let's see. One interesting thing we've got coming in the next 2 weeks, Purdue plays Northwestern at Wrigley Field. That's in 3 weeks. And I'm sure some of you guys have tickets. That'll be an interesting and unusual venue. The last time Northwestern played at Wrigley Field, they had a problem with the way the field was lined up, so they kept having to turn the field, and they would go one way. So if even there's an interception, they wait for the ball to be down, and then they would spot the ball the other way. So they'd go to the area that was less dangerous, so you wouldn't have a player running into a brick wall. That's a good thing. But they say they figured that out, and they won't have that problem in Wrigley Field when Purdue plays Northwestern. Let's see. Yeah, Andrew Day says he needs one of these glasses. You're darn right you do, Andrew. Check that Boiled Sports store. Anyway, guys, girls, anyone who's tuning in, appreciate you tuning in. We talked about doing a handsome hour. I don't think we could get everybody together. Maybe we'll try to do a live one after Purdue upsets Michigan State or Ohio State. I can dream, okay? But today, that's a big game, and you heard me. I hope everyone who's listening out there knows that I'm nothing if I'm not fair, but I've been critical of Jeff Brom, and I've given him credit today. Jeff Brom did a great job. He had his Boilermakers ready, called a good game. Play calling was better. It was improved versus Wisconsin, but I think the biggest problem with that is that vaunted black shirt defense is not what it used to be, of course. Nebraska's defense is not very good at all. So, that's a good question. Kevin Spry has a good question. Thank you, Kevin. Do you have any comments on the men's basketball scrimmage? Purdue lost in overtime to Providence on the road in a closed scrimmage, a double secret scrimmage. And I don't know if I have many comments at all. The one takeaway was I think Purdue went 10 or 11 deep. So all the guys that we've been talking about the depth, they all played, and I think they all played about 15 minutes. That's not a normal Matt Painter rotation type of game. I think he's going to be messing around with lineups, which he does early in the season anyway. Of course, in a scrimmage, he did that. I don't take too much away from this. I'm not bothered by it. I think I told everybody via Twitter, it's okay, relax, everything's fine. Number one, it's a scrimmage. Number two, there's a lot of basketball to be played. They haven't even gotten into the exhibition season yet. So I'm not worried or bothered by it. I think these are nothing but positive, win or lose, and I think it's good. It's a good thing when your team loses. Painter probably has a ton he can go back to the team with and work on. It's almost like Tom Izzo uses this to his benefit with Michigan State. They play a good team early, they lose, and you see Michigan State kind of spool up and get sharpened. This isn't that. I'm not making this game, this scrimmage, into that, but I am saying Matt Painter can say, "Hey guys, look, if you don't do it this way, this is what happens." A lot easier off a loss, and he can say, "Don't read all your press clippings. You're not as good as you think you are, and you've accomplished nothing." In fact, if I'm Matt Painter, I would say, "Hey guys," and I'm included in this as a coach. A lot of people still remember what we did in the NCAA tournament. We have a lot of work to do to prove to people that we are what some think we are. I, of course, Boiler Dowdback, out of character, not being Matt Painter. I think this is going to be a very successful season, and I'm excited about watching Purdue, and I think it's the best chance for Purdue to go to the Final Four. The best preseason chance for Purdue to go to the Final Four since the Hummel team, of course. And I will say, you look at the Hummel team, the Baby Boilers, you look at Glenn Robinson's junior year, his final year on campus, and to me, the Three Amigos team in '89, I think, 88. I can't remember. Some of you guys could tell me what that was. Those teams in my lifetime are the ones that I have the most memory of. That those teams just seem to be lined up to do big things in the postseason. And this team has the same. They have more experience than any of those teams, and on top of that, they've got more depth. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that as Purdue fans. So another question here, I believe. That's a good question. Theodore Berkey says, "How much should we raise to help extend Scott Frost?" I think everybody who is not a fan of Nebraska wants Scott Frost to stay. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So, and I think all you guys should put your nickels together. I have to save it for Christmas. I know you guys are all independently wealthy, so I'm going to have to pass on this. And just all I'm going to do is watch him kind of languish on the vine because they're in big trouble this season. And if they win one more, I'd be surprised. Winning one more puts them at 4 wins. Mercy, that's a disappointing season. One last point. Disappointing seasons. I don't think there's many teams in America. Maybe Clemson, of course. Clemson is incredibly disappointed. Their fan base is very disappointed where they stand. But IU fans are very disappointed. Remember, that's a 17th ranked team in the preseason that now sits at 2 wins. And they have a little bit of what Purdue had a couple years ago, obviously, when Purdue had all the quarterbacks go down. IU is now playing their third string quarterback, the same quarterback that verbal to Purdue, and then Purdue got the commitment from another guy who didn't end up coming to Purdue, and then he went to IU, and so he's playing. So good on him, I guess, but I hope he's having fun because being on a 2-win team is no fun at all, and it's tough. I mean, injuries are tough. We've talked about it all season here. Depth is a big deal. I'll give Jeff Brom a hard time, and I will continue to give him a hard time for not developing the depth that I think Purdue needs and needed. And that's part of the reason when an injury happens, it absolutely crushes Purdue. This is part of the problem with developmental program, as we call it in basketball. But yeah, it's awfully tough when you lose your first 2 quarterbacks, as we found out a couple years ago. Purdue ended up with 4 wins. I think IU will probably end up with 3 or 4 wins this year. It's tough medicine, but man, they were 17th in America to start the season. Purdue was not ranked the year they lost. They lost their 2 quarterbacks. One more thing, and I know we talked about it on the Handsome Hour. Boy, wasn't it nice to be ranked for that 14 seconds. Man, I wish Purdue could get ranked again in football, but we're not going to see it this year. Save a win next week or a win over Ohio State. I just don't think there's any chance. And even then, I don't know if Purdue belongs in there. Purdue has the ability to get up for games, and then I don't know what happened versus Wisconsin. I still am befuddled by that. I know that Wisconsin's a big, strong team. It's always a tough matchup for Purdue, but it's tough to swallow still. I don't mean to rain on everybody's parade. Good win today, though. Purdue improves to 5 wins and 5-3 on the season, and is awfully close to a bowl. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks to everybody who's live, and hope you have a great evening tomorrow when you go trick or treating. Make sure if you get an apple, turn around and throw it back at that person's house. God bless you. Have a great day. Hammer down. We'll talk to you soon.